And we are live.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, YouTube.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm very excited to kick off this show that we're going to do every week, hopefully at the same time. And I'm very excited to be joined by Serena, Roxana, and Maryam, who will take turns to be my co-hosts on this show as we go through various topics. So before we
people with the names, we waved at the wrong names.
Off to a great start.
And as you see, this is going to be a very, very informal show. We are going to talk over each other, say random things, and as the name suggests, the talks will be relatively random, but hopefully very, very informative. So with that, I would love for you to get to know our co-hosts and myself. So I'll go first. I am Amir. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Aggregate Intellect. We're building a platform to enable collaborative innovation. You can read more about it or see more about it on our Slack channel, on our website, AI.SCIENCE, but I will also put the link to our Slack channel in the show notes that you can take a look and learn more about it. With that, I'll pass it on to Maryam, and we do the nomination thing that we always do in our community. So Maryam, what's your story?
Awesome. Thanks, Amir. Hi, YouTube and everybody out there. I'm Maryam. I'm the co-founder and COO of Aggregate Intellect. I officially joined the team about a year ago, but have been part of the community for much longer. I have worked in a variety of startups in several different industries across sales, business development, account management, operations, and product. But my intro to AI came when I was offered a product role in an AI startup and started a meetup group in 2016 as a way to learn more about the space. And through a series of awesome adventures, I met Amir and got connected into the community. So very excited to be here. And with that, I will nominate Serena.
Everybody, so my intro is a little longer. I would have loved to hear more about Amir and Maryam, but that's all right. Maybe we can circle back after. So I'm Serena. I'm currently a senior data scientist at Shopify on Balance, which is the banking-like platform we're building for entrepreneurs. I'm wearing my Shopify sweater, I think, today in honor of the company that I work for. Previously, I was working at a startup hedge fund called Delphia, where I was a founding member of the engineering team, and I built out our machine learning infrastructure and models to power our long-short equity market neutral strategy. So if you want to talk about hedge fund life, machine learning and finance, I'm happy to talk about that. I also have a math background with a master's in fluid dynamics, which provided me with a sort of foundation to view the world mathematically and always question how can we model the world with math? And that's pretty much how I like to think of machine learning, as a way to model various phenomena with math. And when I was in school, I would always say to people that I want a job where I do mathematical modeling, and machine learning has become so popular in recent years, and I'm happy that I've been able to work in it. And yeah, outside of work, I'm very involved in the machine learning / AI community, which I think we're going to talk about more in this session. And I also do machine learning research on recommender systems with the ACE group, also cybersecurity, which is a very random connection. And I published a few papers on the topic recently as well, so that's exciting. I'm also a founder. I've created an app called Food Shake, which is an app that enables you to convert any recipe from non-vegan to vegan. And I'm also a budding content creator on TikTok, where I have about 6,000 followers. My account is Veg Food Shake. So please follow me on TikTok if you're interested, and I'll pass it off to Roxana.
I definitely can't top that. I'm Roxana. I'm a senior cognitive and behavior researcher at a healthcare consultancy, Macadamia and Technologies. Not wearing the shirt, but I'm wearing the cup. In my day-to-day, I co-create solutions from the ideation stage to post-deployment with clients, whether they're products or services. And we co-create this with clients, but also the people, so the clients, the people using their products or services. And I really do take a lot of pride in contributing to work that's meaningful to the end user, but also sustainable and beneficial for the business. On a personal note, I come from a super far away small village where technology was nothing but science fiction. So I kind of only joined the technology world much later on and very quickly learned its advantages, which will translate into the topics I'm interested in. Outside of that, I'm an adjunct professor at Carleton University with the Cognitive Science Department, and also at Algonquin College, where I teach user research methods. Just started, so I'm super excited about that one. Yeah, my intro was shorter. You'll get to know me later.
It's all good. Excellent. So I guess I'll tell you a little about my motivation to start this show. So back in 2018, when I was being pulled from being a hands-on data scientist to management, I was very worried about forgetting all the technical side of things. And as Serena wrote in her social media post about this show, just the amount of content out there, technical content that anybody has to keep up with is just enormous and ridiculous, and it is growing exponentially. So I gathered with a bunch of other nerds, and started on a weekly basis, to read papers. And every week we had a rotation. Somebody would pick up a paper, read it, and come back and present it to others. And over time, what happened was that a bunch of people were like, wait a minute, I'm from whoever knows where, and it's very difficult for me to commute to downtown every day. Can we, record these and put them on YouTube or something so that I can watch them later? So we started doing the YouTube channel, and that changed a lot over time. Later we ended up starting a company out of that community, Aggregate Intellect, and then joined forces with New York Artificial Intelligence Group, and Maryam came from there. And I don't know if you said that, Maryam, you're a little humble, but that community was 8,500 people when Maryam joined us, so pretty sizable community and global as well. And pandemic forced all of this to become completely online and global and all of that. And we used to do a lot more sessions, during 2020, which was the first year of the pandemic. But last year, slowly we had other priorities, so slowly things fell off the grid. But I always had this nagging problem that at the beginning, my motivation really was I didn't want to fall behind. So very recently, I was having conversations with a few friends, and we sort of thought that the problem was that we made things way too formal and organized and streamlined, stuff like that, and that was just too difficult to maintain. And I thought, why not just have informal, random conversations? Because hopefully that's still very, very valuable for a lot of people. For ourselves, it forces us to learn about topics and keep up to date. But also, hopefully, those back and forth conversations will be useful and interesting for a lot of you. And that's partly also motivated by the fact that a lot of people in our community meet on a weekly basis and discuss various topics in research, applications, engineering, and product development. So, that back and forth is always a very interesting way to, dissect problems and, get deeper in them. And it might sound random, but hopefully we can get deep and understand them better. And our hope is also to curate content aligned with this show other than just a video, so that anybody who's interested to learn more about those topics can essentially start from where we left off our research. So hopefully that will be a better starting point for all of you. With that, I'm also, I guess that's a very long rant, but with that, I'm also interested to hear everybody's thoughts around, you are doing this on your free time, and this is, giving back to community in your way. So I was curious to hear each of your thoughts as well. What does community mean to you, and essentially what has brought you here? Maybe we can start the reverse order. Roxana, do you want to go first?
Sure. So for me, I'm coming from a different world, cognitive science and UX. So the AI community, which I met mostly through you and a few like-minded people, is really just that, a group of like-minded individuals. And though it took me a while to accept it, coming from a technology-free world, the AI community itself is shaping the present and the future literally as we speak. And I want to be a part of that. So to give you a concrete example, like if I think of UX practices, which is my world, we talk about personalization and how we achieve it. And we do that through, let's say, at the level of a persona, which is an archetype of people. But with the AI influence, we can enhance that personalization to the individual level so that everyone can have the best journey we could when, let's say, using a digital health app or anything like that. So that desire to really enhance people's experiences brought me in. And even though I don't have the same rich background in AI, I was welcome and I keep learning, and the bridge is very successful.
You have to
That's
nominate
awesome.
one person too.
Is it me next? We're doing reverse order.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Roxana, I really like what you like. Two things that you said. So one, I like your definition of community. When Maryam told us the questions that we were going to be answering today, one of them was like, what does AI community mean to you? And I literally went and Googled what is community, because I realized I like use this term. Okay, you too, Maryam. I use this term all the time, being like, I love community. Community is really important to me, but it's like, what does it actually mean? So like you said, Roxana, community is like a group of people having a common interest, and that's the characteristic that they share. And I also really liked what you said about how you don't necessarily have like a super technical background in that you came from like math or physics or something like that, but you're still welcome.
Chemistry, though.
That's technical for sure. Okay. Like what I find with some communities is they think it's like, if you didn't come from comp sci or if you didn't come from math, then you're maybe not like one of us. And that's one thing I really like about ACE, because it's so inclusive and so welcoming, and we've been actively working on trying to make it more inclusive. So yeah, I just wanted to share that I really liked what you said there. And I guess to like answer the question, to me, yeah, like what is community? Well, it's a group of people who are enthusiastic about the technology and a group of people who get together to talk about it. And I guess in terms of the value that I've gotten out of this AI community, ACE, and also the broader Toronto data science and AI community, is I've been able to meet these like-minded people who share the same interests as me. And then I was thinking about it a bit this morning, like in university, when you're an undergrad, you have your friends and your classmates, and they're the ones that have the same interests as you, because you're taking the same classes, maybe taking the same major. In grad school, again, you might have classes, you might have your research group, so you like have your community. And then like in industry, speaking from my experience, my first role in industry, I was the only data scientist. I was so excited about machine learning. I wanted to talk to people about it, but there was no one at my company who would talk to me about it. I think people wanted to, but they just like didn't have that same enthusiasm. So that's why I seeked out a data science community in Toronto and ended up finding ACE, and I made friends through it. I got jobs through it. So yeah, I think just like finding people who share similar interests and learning from them and teaching them, like that's what I've gotten the most out of this community. And then I guess the jobs have been nice as well. Anyways, I'll pass it on to Maryam.
Awesome. Thanks, Serena. It's funny that you said you Googled it, because as soon as I sent over those questions on Slack last night, I also Googled every question just to get a good starting point for myself. But yeah, I mean, I identify as an AI community builder. So I thought long and hard about what community does really mean to me, and did the same Googling you do, like-minded people working together towards a common goal. But I feel like to me, it really comes down to four things, right? It's connection, inspiration, collaboration, and support. Right. So connection, it's beyond just sending a LinkedIn invite and getting accepted, and now someone's in your network, right? It's really coming together around something, an interesting topic or a common goal. And the inspiration part, that's a big thing for me. Similar to what you said, Serena, like I come from a non-technical background. I studied econ in college, did a little stats and econometrics and a little stata, but and taught myself some front end stuff, but I would never consider myself technical from an AI perspective. I mean, over the past 6 years, that's changed a little bit, but the inspiration, just being surrounded by so many amazing people doing incredible work that are willing to share their knowledge, has been really inspiring for me personally. The collaboration piece, like finding like-minded people is cool, but finding those people that are interested in working on the problem that you're interested in working on is worth its weight in gold. And then the support, no problem, no project can be finished without this unfailing support system. And I've said it before, but I've been in awe about the amount of encouraging people that I've met along the way, making intros to other experts or just sharing their knowledge or resources.
That's awesome.
Every time you said collaboration, I was also thinking of collaboration and disruption, particularly coming from a UX space. The greatest successes I've seen with our clients and just companies out there is when this collaboration between disciplines exists, but it's also disruption in the sense that you're bringing in something new and you're doing it completely differently. And that's the huge market differentiator that I want to achieve.
Yeah, I feel like it's a competitive advantage, but it's also the adoption problem, because it's so new and novel. People are like, wait, what?
Yeah, I also wanted to just add to what Maryam was saying, because I do feel so passionate about community. And another point that I don't think I shared with the ACE community in particular. So I learned so much about how to reason about machine learning, reason about data, talk about machine learning and explain it to people. And if ASON is watching, I learned so much of this from you, ASON. I don't know if he's watching, but I feel like at many times, if I'm asked to explain some sort of ML algorithm to colleagues or friends even, I'll sort of put on my ASON hat or put on the hat of many other individuals I've met in the community. And just having those tools to speak about these seemingly very complex topics in simple ways that people from different backgrounds are going to get, that's been so valuable. And that's one reason why I'm pretty excited about this show, because we have 4 people from various backgrounds, and we'll have the host, or not we're the hosts, we'll have the guests as well, who will be coming with their own perspectives. So I'm hoping that we can sort of replicate a little bit of what we had back in 2018, 2019, when we were meeting in person, because yeah, it was just so valuable. Anyways, wanted to share how excited I am about that.
Well, I could have not finished my thesis without Ehsan, so I second that.
Oh, wow.
Sounds like we have our first guest.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, funny enough, I'm writing this blog post about how Google is not great for finding technical resources. And one of the articles that I was accidentally reading yesterday was a whole research paper about different languages that people use to talk about collaborative innovation. Just that one topic had probably, I think they collected tens of synonyms that people use to describe that fact. And they did this whole taxonomy on it. And that was very interesting. But I guess to build on what everybody said, we've been getting our company also have been getting a lot of value through our community, because a lot of people that we had commercial interactions with, a lot of our investors, a lot of users who started joining our community and then using our platform, all of them are really coming from the community. And community is the most valuable thing that I think we've built in the past few years, and we're aiming to grow it.
That would be awesome. Yeah, I'll hold you to that.
And I mean, joking aside, well, I wasn't joking, but teasing aside, I think it's all about giving back and providing value. That's why people gather around, some central ideas and epic meanings, to put it in the game design language. And that's what we've always tried to do, in various forms and shapes. As everybody said, there is some sort of a human connection added to the technical knowledge that is always missing when you're just, sitting in a corner and Googling things on your own and trying to code on your own. And nothing really replaces that, human interaction back and forth. So speaking of technical knowledge, I guess our audience would be curious to hear what type of topics they would be hearing from us. So I will be commenting all of these conversations. So I'm very excited to talk about everything you want to talk about, and the guests that we find. But most probably I will be most knowledgeable to contribute to like machine learning product related topics. That probably will be conversations with Roxana, and with Maryam, probably we will be talking about, like, she will go into more detail, but we will be talking about things that it takes to build an AI company, which is what we're trying to do, and the investment and the company side of things. And with Serena, we're going to go into a series of very interesting technical topics. But in most of these conversations, I will be the person who knows less than the co-host and the guest. So I will ask all the dumb questions, and hopefully I learn a lot of things, and hopefully you learn a lot of things too. So with that note, with that tease, I guess, let's go back to the co-host and see what they're excited to talk about on this show.
Can I also jump in again? I'm sorry, I'm being so rude. I think it's very humble of you, Amir, to say that you're going to be asking dumb questions. And I just want to highlight how cool it is for someone like you, a founder of a company, and also you have a PhD in physics, for you to still have things that you say are dumb questions and like put yourself in that vulnerable position, use your position of power. I think that's really great. Yeah, that's another reason why I really love ACE, because folks are really great at asking these like dumb questions.
Well, I mean, some of them are dumb, but I'm not worried about asking them. Okay.
Exactly. Anyways,
Serena, why don't you tell us what you're excited to talk about on the show?
Yeah. Also, I hope my internet is okay. I'm not sure if it was just cutting out. Yeah, I guess in general, like machine learning really excites me because, like I said, it's math in action. I really like its predictive power. I'm not sure if this is because I'm kind of like a worrier in my everyday life. My partner will probably say this is the reason. I always want to know what's going to happen in the future. So maybe that's why I like machine learning, because it lets you sort of like model and predict your expectations of what might happen. And I guess I thought I would talk a little bit about my favorite machine learning applications, because I hope that's what we can talk about during the show. So recommender systems, I saw that a lot of folks commented on Amir's LinkedIn post also asking for recommender systems and personalization. So I'm right there with you. Recommender systems were sort of like my first love in machine learning. I think they're fascinating because there is like the technical piece, but also the end goal is to provide a delightful user experience and recommend a product, show, book, or something that the user will really like. And it's also fascinating that recommender systems, you have to think about not just what will a user like, you have to think about like, how do you define interest in a product? How do you define who a user's connections are on some platform? So it's like a much deeper problem than you might initially think. And another topic that I really like, and I hope we can talk about, is time series prediction. So this is kind of more like what I did at my most recent role at Delphia. So like given a sequence of data points, you can predict where the next step will be. And I think time series prediction is really cool because there's a lot of very like tried and true statistical models like ARIMAs and SEREMAs that sort of combat with machine learning in a sense, because I think there's a tendency to always believe that machine learning is the best solution, but oftentimes with time series prediction, ARIMAs can do quite well, and you might not have to go all the way to ML. And then finally, the last topic that I hope we can discuss is representation learning in general. I look at representation learning as kind of like a blanket term for what machine learning is doing, because you're essentially learning representations of different entities, like how to represent a word mathematically or how to represent like a picture mathematically. And the classical example of this that I really like is Word2Vec, which is essentially a representation learning model because it learns these representations of words. And I think the classical example is like king minus man plus woman equals queen, which makes sense. And that also really excites me because it has applications in what I'm trying to do with Food Shake, the vegan recipe converter. And it just, representation learning, I think if you can understand it, it then like opens the door to many different products that you can build. So I think that ties in very nicely to what the overall show is going to be focusing on.
I think since you mentioned representation learning, we can tease about the next week's topic as well, which is going to be deep random walks, not talks, walks, where we're going to talk about representation learning on graphs a bit with Serena. And hopefully we'll find another person to join us who's knowledgeable on the topic as well. And if that's you, please, ping us on LinkedIn or leave a comment or do something so that we know you're interested. Who's going to jump in next? Maryam?
Sure. I figured as soon as I opened my mouth.
Formal. Keep going.
Awesome. So maybe I'll start with just some topics I'm interested in general, and then I'll go into what we'll be talking about on the show. So me personally, I'm really interested in like AI for social good, environmental data science, also uplifting and showcasing women in AI. So also stay tuned for our upcoming Women in AI Week, which will be happening March 14th to March 18th. We'll include some details in the show notes eventually. But at its core, what really excites me about machine learning is all the cool things other people are building in the space. So I'm really looking forward to speaking to other founders about what they're doing, why they're doing it, how they're building their company, some of the investment stuff, maybe commiserate a little bit about the typical entrepreneurial challenges, but most importantly, really get to the root of how they're solving some key issues. So yeah, very excited to talk to other founders in the AI space. And with that, I'll nominate Roxana.
Yay. So again, going back to my roots, which lately I've been thinking about that a lot. So just coming from this tech-free world, I feel like it allows me to have this unique perspective between devices, the people, or ML solutions, the people using those devices, and the environment at large. And I think the pandemic is kind of amplifying that connection and the need to take all of them into account. So with that in mind, I'm going to be kind of the family's rebel sheep on the show. So instead of diving into ML, I'll focus on why we need humans in the loop, and then how do we really go about introducing them, and when, how do we actually do it and bridge humans with those ML solutions to achieve their greatest potential. And I guess the buzzword that comes to mind is human-centered data science. But really, in a nutshell, I'm all about the marriage of user experience practices and data science to everyone's benefit. So we gave the example of personalization. I think combining the two there is really, really powerful. Serena, you were talking about time series. So recently, I've been looking at medical conditions where time series predictions are a great way, right, to kind of help someone who's just was recently diagnosed to see what's coming ahead and anticipate when those symptoms will occur. But then the other side of it is taking the knowledge from the clinical team and bringing in their caregiver and really understanding from a user perspective, what's the education that they, so I know I'm expecting this symptom in a few months, but then from the user side, what do I do with that? How do I prepare for it? Is there a way to act preemptively? Who do I need in the loop to support me? So all of those elements that kind of complement the solution to really make the most of the fact that I know what's going to happen along my diagnosis for the next 20 years. Because just knowing doesn't empower me, doesn't put me in a position of agency to make the most of, well, most of it, if we're talking about medical condition, it's not quite the right word, but to react in the best way possible.
Excellent. So I see that Serena is writing responses in the live chat. So if you have questions from any of us, please put it in the live chat, and one of us will respond, and or we read it and talk about it quickly in the next few minutes before we wrap up the show. So if you know anybody who works in any of the areas that we mentioned, so machine learning products and UX research and human-centric use of machine learning, founders of AI companies, or any of the other technical topics that Serena mentioned or didn't mention, and you want and you know somebody that we should invite, please let us know so that we can reach out to them. Or if you're the one who should be invited, please also let us know. Stop being humble. We want to have you on the show. And today was a little still more structured, like we were taking rounds to talk, but I tried to make it a little random by going and answering my phone or getting tea and stuff. but it will be more random. I can promise you that. So, exactly.
Random.
With that, I guess we are ready to wrap up this session. Any last thoughts from any of you? Any call to actions? Anything that can be even selfish?
Follow Veg Food Shake on TikTok.
There you go.
Thank you, everyone. Ooh, we got a question. Matthew John Coffey is saying, sorry, I jumped right into that. I got very excited.
Yeah.
So you spoke a bit about community. Do you have any tips for someone just starting to find their way in AI and data communities?
Yes.
Who wants to take this?
This goes into my call to action. Join our Slack community. You can be surrounded by like-minded people who will be happy to give you direction and support and resources. So join our Slack community, and also feel free to say hi to any one of us on there.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'll also add to what everybody said. I do 20-minute one-on-one sessions with anybody who's trying to answer questions like that. It's free, and you can book anytime you want to chat. There's a link on my LinkedIn profile, but if you don't find it, just message me and I'll send it to you, and we just hop on a call and talk about it, and I'll provide as much advice as I can.
Yeah, thank you, Matt or Matthew, for the question. It's very hard getting started in the machine learning community, but I have found, fortunately, that people are very open to helping. I mean, as Amir has just said, Amir is a very busy person and is still willing to help. Yeah, similarly, if you want to reach out to me, feel free to. As Maryam said, I think we're all pretty open to helping because we were all there at some point. We all had to get our start in the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. I also dropped your AMA link in the live stream chat. So the Slack chat, the Slack join, and the AMA is in there for anyone interested.
We will add those to the show description too, so that if you miss it and you're watching this later, tonight, for example, you can still go to the notes and see these links. All right.
Roxana, any call to actions?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Feel free to reach out, and I speak a lot publicly. Not sure when that happened. So pretty much once a month at least. Typically there's one event. I think 2 this month. So just you'll see there if you want to. They're either about bridging or more into the UX world. If you're more interested in that, there's always something.
Awesome.
So
I have one last. Sorry. No, finish with yours.
The call to action was book Roxana if you want her to talk at your events.
Is LinkedIn the best way to reach out, Roxana?
Yes, definitely.
Do you charge for those events?
I don't. The organizers may. A lot of them are free, though.
Nice. I have one last call to action, actually. So Serena gave an update about her career and everything in the beginning, but if you want to learn more about that, she did speak at our kickoff Women in AI discussion group. So that video will be posted next week. Make sure you're part of the Slack community or signed up to our newsletter to keep in the loop about that. And you could learn much more about Serena's career journey.
That's so nice. Thank you. Who wants to hear about that?
It was a really fun event. We had a lot of great feedback.
Yeah, and I even after that talk, I had quite a few people internal to Shopify, interns, reach out to me, and I've had some really awesome chats with them. It's so fun to give back to the community.
I love that.
It's I guess we keep coming back to giving back to community. When I was transitioning from physics to AI, I reached out to so many people because everybody is confused confused AF. That's a challenge too, because I swear a lot and now I have to control that. Anyway, so everybody's pretty confused about what needs to happen. And, a lot of people either didn't bother or, they were like, here is an article, go read it. But a few people really put in the time, hopped on a call, really gave me personalized feedback about, what needed to happen. A lot of them cared beyond, the typical bullet points you would give anybody, like go take courses on Coursera, et cetera, et cetera. A few people told me don't take courses on Coursera. Do projects, because that's the most important way to improve your skills. Or said, this other thing you're doing is stupid. Go do this other thing. And I think that's the most important value you would get from community and people like my co-hosts, because they're pretty awesome and experienced, and they've done what you're trying to do and can tell you what not to do. Anywho, I think that's it for today. We tried to make this short. Still, there was a lot to talk about. Hopefully you can join us next week as we talk about deep random walks on Deep Random Talks. Make sure you leave a comment on this video and tell us what we should talk about, or who we should invite, and subscribe to the channel so that you get notifications about this show. But we're going to try to keep it regular every Wednesday at the same time, and we're going to try to keep it under 1 hour, and we're going to change the topics every week so that we can cover a wider range. And with that note, thank you so much, Maryam, Roxana, and Serena, for joining me today, and everybody who watched the show on YouTube. We'll try to do it on LinkedIn too. We'll see if that's not too hard to set up.
And then maybe TikTok.
And maybe TikTok too. Oh, that's right. Yes. We will add more details about that. Most probably, Serena is going to do short versions of the sessions and post them on TikTok. Is that the idea?
We'll see. We'll see what the people want.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate your attention, and hope to see you again.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, Amir. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy your 2222.